Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. So in our previous class, we discussed about the items that are payable and the items that are not payable for zakat, and we also started with the rate of zakat. So inshallah, today we'll continue from the rate of zakat and also the importance. We'll also discuss about the importance of zakat. So let's start with the rates. The rates of zakat. We had started with this, and we had looked at different items from the gold and said gold and silver. That is, it should be the nisab. Nisab. This is the minimum amount on which zakat is payable. So for the gold, we said it's 85, and for the silver is 595 grams. So it has, if you have a lot of gold, then if it reaches 85 and more, then you have to pay nisab. And if you have silver and it reaches 95 and more, then you have to pay zakat. And if you have money, the money should be equivalent to the nisab of the gold and silver. And what you have, how you calculate is that is, you take 2.5% of the money or the gold or the silver that you have, then you give that as zakat. Then we also looked at the number, the animals. That is, because we say for zakat, those you keep for the goats and the sheep. Then we say the nisab, the minimum amount for zakat, we say that is for the goats and the sheep, is 40 animals. So this is the minimum amount that is payable for zakat. And we had looked at the proportion for zakat, for the rest of zakat, and we say if it reaches for, and if you have a mixture of both, that is goat and sheep, then you will look at which is the more number of animals that you have. If you have sheep, then you'll give sheep. If you have more sheep, then you'll give sheep as zakat. If you have more goats, then you'll give a goat as zakat. So here, if you have, that is the mixture of both sheep and goat, and it has reached 40, because you're saying 40 is our nisab, then you give one female sheep. Then 41 is one 1 year old. Then 121 to 200 is 2 1 year old. Then 201 to 299 is 3 1 year old. It's either sheep or goat, depending on the animals that you have. Then 300 to 400 is 4 1 year old goat or sheep. So 300 to 400 is saying is 4 1 year old goat or sheep. So what if you have more than 400? What if you have more than 400? So we say you have to have an extra 1 year old. So you have to have an extra 1 year old, either a goat or a sheep. If a goat is given for every 100 animals above 400. So if you have above 400, and here we say 100, after above, that is 100 above 400, you will have to pay to give out an extra 1 year old. So here assume you have, it should be, if 100, that is plus 100, that is 500, either 600, 700, you give an extra, that is plus 1 year old, plus 1 year old. So assume it's 500. Let's look at, if you have 500 animals, that is a mixture of sheep and goats. So it's 400, and 400 we say 1 year old. And the 100, the extra 100 that you have is plus 1. So it will be 5 1 year old, either a goat or a sheep. So that is the calculation for the mixture of goats and sheep. So it goes on. If you have an extra 100, but if you have assume it's 550 animals, then you just take for the 500 because it should be an extra 100. If it's less than that, then it should be the same. But if you have 100 more, so you'll add 400 plus the 100 more, then it's 4 plus 100, an extra 1 year old for every 100 more than or above 400, either sheep or more. So what if for the cows and the buffaloes? For the cows and the buffaloes, we say the cows and the buffaloes, they are classified together, and the recommended rate is if you have 30, so we are saying 30 is the nisab. Here 30 is the nisab. So 30 to 39 is 1 year old calf. 40 to 59 is 2 year old calf, and 60 is 2 1 year old calf. So 60 is 2 1 year old. 1 year old calf, 2 1 year old calf. And we are also saying for every above 30 buffaloes, above 60 head, 1 year old calf is given. So for every, let's start with the buffaloes. This is the buffaloes. We are saying for every 30 buffaloes above 60 head. So these are the 60 head. So for every 30 above 60, what you have to give an extra 1 year old. So 1 year old calf is given. So 1 year old calf is given. So here it should be 90 buffaloes. Then you'll have to give, so you'll add, it should be 3 1 year old calf. 3 1 year old calf. This is for the buffaloes. What about the cow? So here it should continue. If it's 60, then for every 30 is 1. For every another 30, so this is 90. For another 30, that is 120, you give an extra 1. So it goes like that. What about the cows now? The cows. For the cows, we are saying, let's look at the cows. For the cows, wait, for every 40 cows above 60 heads, for every 40. If you notice the difference between buffaloes and cows is the 10, because for buffaloes is above 30. For buffaloes is 30 above 60 head, but for cows is 40 above 60 heads. So here is for every 40 you give an extra 1 year old calf. So an extra 1 year old. Here you have 100, which 100 cows. So you add this. You have again your 3 1 year old calf. So for every 40, another 1. So here if you have another 140, you have an extra 40, that is 140 cows, you add another 1 year old calf, and so on and so forth. So that's for the cows and the buffaloes. That's for the cows and the buffaloes. Then we're also saying that those who keep camels, and I should also pay zakat for them. And the nisab for camel is 5. Yes, so nisab, that is the camels. The nisab is 5 camels. So it must reach 5 camels for you to be able to pay zakat, because we say the nisab is 5. Nisab is the minimum amount on which zakat is payable. So let's look at now for the camels, the proportion for the camel. So you're saying nisab is 5. So from 5 and above, you have 5 to 9, that is 1 goat or sheep. From 10 to 14 is 2 goats or sheep. From 15 to 19 is 3 goats or sheep. From 20 to 24 is 4 goats or sheep. And from 25 to 35 is 1 camel colt. This is a youthful camel that is in the 2nd year. If you have 46 to 60, that's 1 camel colt in 4th year. And if you have 61 to 75 is 1 camel colt in 5th year. And if you have 76 to 90 is 2 camel colts in 3rd year. And if you have 91 to 120 is 2 camel colts in 4th year. So when the number of camels exceed 120, then 1 goat is given for every 5 camels. So we say 191 to 120 is 2 camels colts in 4th year. So in our next part, we look at what if it's above 120. How do we calculate?